Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Sanji chu da zoji chu namda chanchu badon da ni kyabsun she da ye jinzo gebe Pinji sanji drupara shu sanji chu da zoji chu namda chanchu bado da ni kyabsun she da ye jinzo gebe chu namje roda pinji sanji drupara shu sanji chu da zoji chu Padodane Japsuche, Daje Jinson Jebe Tonamje, Rana Benje, Sanje Drubra, Sho, Dongye Ninja, Sudo Jube, Nomche, Sense, Consent, Drogan, Chama, Noman, So on the Ocean, Nondro, Sho, Ramjam Suro, Tavi, Gazan Tarbar, Rube, Jungon, Sho, Zebe, Jube, Tapian, Zaba, Sense, Shinya, Namna, Charge, okay, English.
In the Buddha, the Dharma, the supreme assembly, take refuge and fall into the enlightenment. For the merit of practicing generosity and so on, may I thank Buddhahood for all sentient beings.
Oh, we are on the 10th. Okay. 기지치기 라주는 유점 되는 줄. 가베네도 초치베 수수기고. 라소치. Okay. 사면 저랑 드니마 직랍다. 얘들 recording the speaker 용도 되기.
Hi there. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. That is.
So, yeah.
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 That is. 도지치. 기지지긴 자주는 유점 되는 자연주로 가베네라 초치베 수수기고 가스 attend please.
They are friends, and in the next instant become enemies. Since they become angry even in joyful situations, it is difficult to please ordinary people.
Now as here we are going to talk about the meditation. And this meditation, this meditation, not a kind of a meditation that I think we have in our mind. This meditation is with a lot of preparation. Mostly when we think about meditation, so then we just wanted to take a break from samsara, or take a break from the suffering. And then here, actually, first you recognize what is the really suffering, and seeing what is the causes of suffering. And then you see, without a good antidote, then how much you try to be patient with the samsara thing, somehow it will defeat you. So therefore, now this meditation session in this chapter, it is talking about how to take a break from all the influence which it is getting from all the samsaric things. That includes your friends and enemy. So, and now in particularly in here it talks about how chiba in this translation how it's called. I think there's no chiba in here. Yeah, chiba. At the ninth verse, can you read that again?
If I behave in the same way as a childish, I shall certainly proceed to lower realms. And if I am led there by those unequal to the noble ones, what is the use of entrusting myself to the childish?
Childish. No. Childish is one behavior, isn't it? It's not like a child. But in here, it's more like in a Tibetan word, it is child, infant, not infant. It's it has the kind of understanding, the kind of not mature enough, and then it's more like saying like grow up. We say that, isn't it? So person which the capacity of the brain is not kind of mature enough. So that is we call child. Don't be a child. You are not any more teenager. So somehow we say that, isn't it? This I think. So in here it says child. I think the more good understanding is saying like, because you wanted to keep away from the childish behavior which you have seen in your friends, and including enemy. So then we really need to know whom you are going to call that person a child. In the ordinary way, when we say child, it is more like you have a better understanding, and that person does not have a good understanding on what kind of subject, what kind of topic, and then you say, relatively, you are like a child on this. I'm a better. Now in here, there will be lots of hint. How do Buddha time to time it will say, "Oh child," and in sutra, and here also in the Shantideva, it is called child. So the best, I put a note in here. I don't know where I got it, but it really makes sense. The child is something, the person who has not have an understanding of to take a step to the liberation, and person who is very ignorant about, no idea about how to get a liberation. For that reason, how we make a difference with the Arya and sentient beings, especially how you call Sosukyo.
Literally, it means ordinary being, Rinpoche. But there in Tibetan Chugyadrapa, there's a very interesting explanation of that, of what Susugivu means.
Where is it?
It's just under, because we translate it in English usually as ordinary being as opposed to Pakpa. It says Kalmanyam Bartriche Nas Shenat Shivalas. So it's in the commentary to verse 9, and then under that it talks about Susugivu Shebang. Le Sosui Wongi Gene Tabadeba Sosu Druid Gebu Yimbes Sosugi Gebu Des Papa Mi Gansa Che Choa. Which is doesn't come across in the English doesn't come across in the English translation as ordinary being. It doesn't explain that at all. Goes Rason.
The page 449.
Page number that this local now PDF matomes underneath the commentary to verse 9.
Okay.
Then below that it says Kal Minyamba Triche Na Shebalas, and it gives an explanation of Kal
Oh,
Minyamba.
okay, they do.
And then it says Sosugi Gebo Sheba Ang
Yeah.
Le Tadeba. That
수용기 타데베 수수주 기워이면 수수 파고이면 간사다고
uh,
수수 기워 시방 레 타데베 수수 원기 게네 타데베 수수는 주 기워 오케이 야
might be good to explain because we just translate as ordinary being, which doesn't give the meaning.
It has this good explanation already here, but then also in my note it kind of say 탈발레 맞잠바 탈벨레라 맞잠베나 아니 맞잠바 있나 아니 텔라 치바.
So not being in a sort of accord with the karma which will lead us towards liberation or the path to liberation, then we call them ordinary beings. Yeah. So yeah. So not being mesumberwe tabe le dam
람라 고모 주바 파페 람 토베롱 고모 주바.
Somebody who hasn't started out on the path actually started out on the path to liberation, then we call them an ordinary being, or a Sosugi Gebu in Tibetan, an ordinary being.
So Sosugi Gebu chiba inye de mayingini.
So there are two. So within that sort of category of ordinary beings, we would still draw categories of those who we would refer to as the childish or the immature, the spiritually immature or childish, and those who are not spiritually immature or childish. So within that category of ordinary beings, there would be still two.
다 지 가르쳐 오래 묘모 바다 조 등신기 왕기 아니 배치기 라메 바파 조데베 단대 하 먹어 버치 아니 디 초르베 나와 배 다진 로데베이나 딜라 치바. 다 이나에 레당 묘모 온거 누구 요래데 이나에 단 로바데 노르손 디 등신들에 nye 갑대지 맞아봐 디마손 쓰디 아니 이 가르치 그 자와 간대지 잠배 있나야 당진 뒤베 탑들라니 내가 제 고주 잠배기 값네 송데 아니 고 지금 남래한 저기디 이네 소소기부터 레데 이네 인디 집어 말했어 집어 마인비 좀 젠디 가르레스나 아니 당기게 라반나시 타발라 고 맞아 말해 타발랑 고 잠차버렸다.
So then so why would we explain it in this way? Why would we say that there are two different kinds within the category of what we'll just call ordinary beings for now? Then there are two kind of categories. One which we say is we would literally call the childish, and the others we would not refer to them with that term. So what is the difference between these two? So the first category of those we would still refer to as ordinary beings and the childish or the immature, the spiritually immature, would be those who are completely under the sway of their mental afflictions, of self-grasping. They're out of control and fully under the control of those afflictions, and that they sort of completely assent to all of the sort of appearances or all of that condition. They're completely sort of immersed in or assent to that condition, and those people we would call the childish. But there is another category, of course, yes, within the category of within the sort of condition of being an ordinary being, yes, you will be under the sway of your mental afflictions, and also self-grasping will arise, and we will be under the sway of that. But at least they have some understanding that the self-grasping or the afflictions are mistaken, and there will be some sense of wishing to take on, to challenge those, to identify them as mistaken and to challenge things like the self-grasping, and then their activities and way of proceeding will a little bit follow after that. So there's some sense that or while still under the sway of them, they're sort of recognize them as a mistake and try to challenge them, and so why do we not refer to them as the childish? We could say that because in some sense they have started along the path to liberation. As I previously said, one sort of etymology of ordinary being would be someone who has begun on the path of liberation. So you can see one which has not begun on the path of liberation, we refer to childish, and one which has, which we refer to as not childish. That's it.
다 단다 디기 verse number 9 디 나로려야 가리어스라비나 아니 집어수수 기부당 아니 깨바냠 버쩌나 아니 예버 연로 누구레스 디 디직답이나 저런데 측지들아서 지단 깨바냠 쩌나 예버 연로 누구레스 라서 어디 야, 다 디기 가르 공부했을 때도 야, 딴 강사 디기 들어봤다. 곰 잡을래야 바로도 쥐어킹기 아니 삼로 쪼버디 가르스나 아니 지금 샘 남행 디 레용도 곰 템보메 치기요래 남행 쪼버디 가르스나 다 중앙도 거반이 나는 쪼 거바지요래 대응도 잠베다 디샘 치료를 파 초용에도 쪼버디 착배 온게 치기요래 다 착배 용사도 쪼버디 아니 소소기 지기 니니도 지기 능미이네리 아니 디냠도 지기 도보 정모이네리 드줄 때는 연구요 봐 대운도 잠베 단 드줄 때니 아니 가란 저기 냠도 깨바 냠도 쥐세죠 깨바 냠도 쥐세도 디단 찍바친데야지 콘솔 냠도 찍바친데야죠 디기부요 봐 콘냠도 투저 땅도 좀 찍고 찍양 그 삼로 챘는데도 찍기부시고요. 디 이나야 삽사 제거에 찍으러 가르잖아서나 지단 깨바 냠버 쥐어서야 돼. 냠버 쥐어서도 냠도 로 냠도 칼라사 마사스 느끼지 시기요 말이에요. 디 냠버 쥐어서야 돼. 년주는 로야기 레 제베 갑라 깔레 큐니메 기부시고 용해야 주어레스. 디단 냠도 쥐어베이나 냠버ኛ도 두그레스. 디 삼로코고도와 재단 지난이 집어수수 기운염도 아니 투저 당지 개발냠도 줘베나 인연도 두고르세 계제 뭐 임바체 대단냠도 롱 투저 당지 냠도 지도 수수 비게 타면 변나신 시기 삼로 당당당 디기 인플루언스디 아니 파종 어디 녀모베 왕기 토니 계지 시에wan 나시 수수야한테 녀모 냠도 줘야지 윤도 잠베 냠도 줘봐 세티 텔라 때니 다 소소 만다지 대고고 삼고고 디 가르스나 코디 녀몸 왕기 누구 두세 그 삼로드 수수 하거나 아니 디기 삼로디 갈레우스도 다 코디 녀몸 왕돈 로바 인사 녀 녀몸 왕돈 로치 깨져디시는 지금아래 디 인도 잠베 녀기 니주 뎀바 오마 아니 디 삼로 코베 토네 이 얘기 들어야 깨지셔야지 디 인도 잠베 고 녀모의 왕 가서 당진고 왕기 많이 비지 어디 고 디스네가 친구들 주어지
So if we just refer back, I was just referring back there a little bit to the verse 9, and in the first 2 lines of verse 9 where it reads, "If I behave in the same way as the childish, I shall certainly proceed to lower realms." And it's sort of so this is sort of connected with what we've just been talking about, and in relation to this, so sort of what does it mean to sort of behave or sort of take on the similar kind of pattern of behavior to the childish? So one of the main sort of complications or the main kind of obstacles or blockages to our sort of cultivation of positive things and also meditation is distraction. And distraction is generally, I mean, distracting us away or blocking us from sort of meditating effectively is related to this chapter which talks about kind of scattering or distraction, and then a kind of mental kind of agitation or mental sinking, a sort of mental dullness or sinking. Those are the two sort of forms of stopping us concentrating. But really, the distraction is the more manifest problem for us, and that is caused by having attachment to sort of things kind of in a sense outside of us. It's sort of drawing us out away from and drawing us away from our sort of practice and meditation, you can say, or our and the thing that probably in generally in people's lives that causes us the most attachment there is to do with those very our close family members, our loved ones, friends who are sort of very close to us, and on the basis of them, that tends to be where our the sort of attachment is stronger and can easily draw us away from our practice. And what happens is that if we spend a lot of time with them, then we, in order to spend, often when we spend time with people, it's kind of easier or comfortable or more kind of relaxed way if we are acting in the ways that other people act. But we have to be careful of this, as it warns us. So in the text, it says, if I behave in the same way as we sort of adopt these kind of more unconstructive habits, then it'll say that I shall certainly proceed to the lower realms. So we have to be careful. I'm not taking that so much directly like that, but thinking of how we must be careful when we're in these environments about how we behave. It's not, I'm not talking about behavior as in, being sort of conducive or in terms of what kind of food people eat or, how they spend their spare time or something. But what it's possible that we start to act in ways in which it's kind of comfortable to act in ways which are actually creating karmic actions which will lead us to the lower realms. So it's sort of it's more like the habit, and we come under the spending long amounts of time with people. We in this kind of condition, we may we tend to get influenced by them. We tend to sort of start picking up their habits or their way of thinking. And but what's important for us to recognize is that a lot of that is under the sway of self-grasping, the mental afflictions, and so these kind of negative influences. And so and that can sort of influence us and start to become part of us. So we have to sort of really identify that although we may have to spend time with them, but although we with people who are thinking or acting in these less constructive ways, but we have to sort of recognize that they are under the sway of those say the afflictions, but that's not okay for us, and we have to find a way to act and speak so that we don't pick up that habit. So what it's saying is that as we spend time with the child, what we call the childish people, we start to pick up these habits which will lead us to the lower realms. So that we have to sort of come to terms with the fact that that's not okay for us. Olasa.
Now then the 10th 기지직인자 다 집에 저 미된신 디 subject 되고도 집에 저 미된신 템벌 가와스 다 딜리아 남주 컨테스트 줄그래 디 티처랑 디 subject 디 컨테스트 줄거
So then the 10th verse in Gyaltsab J's sort of textual outline, the outline for this section, verses 10 and 11, is childish friends are unreliable and they are difficult to count upon or to rely upon. Yeah.
So now, in our normal life, we have lots of complaints. When every community, whole world now, this is now becoming the global of complaint. And your neighbor, your boss, your lama, everybody is more like now. Lots of complaints there. And then we are thinking like when the problem is become quite personal, then you feel like I cannot handle it. But Shantideva here has already given us the clue, saying that maybe we have already made something which is not reliable as a friend, as a teacher, anything, but we took them as a very reliable. And then you try to show the kind of a not reliable thing, and then we just got like become so frustrated or start complaining, like on the beach, like a small child makes a sand castle which made out of sand, and so much like attachment there, and then maybe like something comes up and breaks this, and then start crying because that child has attachment towards it. So attachment is built on something very reliable. And then father cannot say, this is impermanent, this is so, you're stupid. But now we have to try to adjust with the child, saying, oh, so sorry, we can build it again or something. So now in any kind of relationship, or with the parents, with the partner, everything, we have kind of experience. So Shantideva is saying, recognizing as it's not reliable anymore. And not only that, just you feel like so close friend, you feel like until the death. It's the promise, isn't it? And then one just, you think it's not important, that somebody takes it very importantly, and then you said something about it, and then it really hurts other person's feelings so much. And then actually the spark is like very small, and how this fire separates on the situation, and in unbelievable. So in this situation, seeing an enemy in your so close friend or family, unbelievable. And then maybe you are giving some kind of piece of advice from the depth of your heart, something, and then person becomes so angry. Nothing to adjust there. We say understanding is very important in the relation, but sometimes because the person with so much attachment, so much kind of a thinking towards one point, one-sided, actually there's no base to talk about. That's when we see the situation become so manifest, and then it is better to say okay and leave. There's nothing much to fix there. Even Buddha appears in front of that person, maybe Buddha cannot fix it. It's not the Buddha does not have a power, but that person is become so fixed. And now there it is so it's not saying we cannot fix other people. It is saying that if we cannot find the antidote to yourself, that how to let the go of this ego or this ignorance or this I or this, if generally we say so much clinging to this permanent thing, or maybe a little bit narrow it down, it could be more like this truly existence I. So if you cannot change this, you cannot fix other people's problem, because you will always be narrow-minded. So that's the reason now this meditator becomes much stronger on way of this thinking. It's not the same as when we have a problem in our office or in the family, we wanted to take a break or go on a vacation. It's not the same thing. This for the Bodhisattva, and especially this when they on this chapter, the person who has a greater understanding about how to fix, what do we need to fix it. And then you're saying, unless I don't get this way of thinking very strongly, and then just staying with this the people with the childish mind. So get the point, childish mind. And even I have this childish mind and staying with the other child, and I will become very childish. So which I wanted to compare. I don't wanted to go with the mind of the Aryas. And then I start admiring and get influence of the childish behaviors. And then I'm done. So in order to get away from this, and I'm not going to spend a time. It's not like I'm not giving a opportunity to get the influence of the other childish behaviors towards me. So in order to do that, if you don't have a good meditation, that meditation is not like going into the cave or isolated. It's more like you see these things are coming. Oh, that person's way of thinking, way of saying, now I need to bring my awareness. This one. And then if you are strong enough on this, then you don't need to go to the cave. I think. Because you are quite strong enough on the, like you are not getting any kind of bad influence towards the child from the childish behavior. So now we go on the 11. Okay. Rafael. Okay. Rafael, good? Okay. 펜버마나 토르체 다젠 펜런 도버체 대다 안에 마녀나 처외 년종 도버주르스. The 11th.
They are angry when something of benefit is said. and they also turn me away from what is beneficial. If I do not listen to what they say, they become angry and hence proceed to lower realms.
Mhm. Yeah. And also, once you have trained your mind like this, and then it is kind of fun to see how other people's way of thinking really, you feel very strange. Like normally, you feel like it's a normal way of thinking. But then, once with the blessings of the Shantideva, and then when you talk with other people, and then a way of their way of thinking, then you will find so strange that how can he think like this? Normally, it's very normal, but it's not normal anymore for you. Now you are just thinking on the, I think you are not, even though you have the childish behavior, it's like not manifest now. Now you are kind of trying to install the Arya ways of thinking. And then you think, so even you feel strange and then you have an answer. Of course, he will say something like this because this is the influence of the ignorance mind, of course. And this negative mind will be there because this mistaken mind has to come because the source of it, it's there, which is the ignorance mind. So then you don't feel angry. You don't feel like hatred, but more you feel how these things are connecting and how this way of has manifest through your friend's mouth, and you feel like, oh, my poor friend. You shouldn't say it loudly, but deep inside, you feel it. And then you feel so compassion towards your friend, enemy. And then you feel at the same time, you will feel so appreciate and then rejoice what you have a little knowledge about it, that which your teacher or guru has given to you. And at the same time, your refuge to the guru becomes much stronger. And then one time, a very close friend of mine, normally he cannot bear to hear some kind of when some people start complaining about his teacher. And then um, because he has strong devotion, but before it's more attachment than a devotion. And then the sign is very, very clear because if somebody says bad to his teacher, then automatically he wanted to protect his teacher. And then in order to protect his teacher, he will try to refute in a very bad manner. And later, I found the same person, somebody has made kind of bad comments about his teacher, but he feels so compassionate because he does have the answer. What they are seeing, what they are feeling, but that same feeling, that way of looking, that he has seen through his point of view, where he is getting the devotion is still very strong, but the other person, they are seeing and thinking in a another way of thinking. So this could happen. That's why one person can be enemy and a friend. One person is relatively enemy to that person, relatively a friend to this. So why I have chosen this guru in an ordinary form is because he holds this teaching very strongly, and this explanation, this guidance really helps me very precisely. That's why I'm taking him as my teacher. And that guy, other guy, could have problem. He can see many different things. Maybe some of them are true, but my focus does not need to be the same. So he does have this answer in letter saying, and we discussed one time. I just pointed him out, saying, "You totally changed your devotion to your guru now." And then he said, "Explain." I said, "Before somebody says something bad to your teacher, you become angry. Now, same person, you have some kind of people start saying bad things to your teacher, but you become so calm. Still, your devotion stays very strong. So previously, you think that you have a devotion, which is not a devotion, a real faith, pure faith. Now, because your faith becomes very strong, and with a reason, with it, it comes from like where you are targeting. You seen this in your guru. So somebody didn't get this, but they are seeing other. You can say, of course, if they look for this angle, they can see something bad. Even they can see something bad in Buddha too. Whether that bad quality is within the teacher or not, that's another thing. So I saw this improvement in my friend. That was a great thing to see in my life. So why I'm saying this, my goodness. Okay. 편법을 다자면 편법을 대단 안에 미니나 초행인 존조리 주르스 그외는 이원 조지 수도 지고 고고 랑라 편법면은 좋아하시는 테마서 다자 탑나조 심. 오케이. 다고도 자셔. 오케이. That 12 토라 차도 냠당 된 말랑 아제 떠나테 미니 저나 콘르지 남시 칠레 한바 톱스 12 please.
They are envious of superiors, competitive with equals, arrogant towards inferiors, conceited when praised. And if anything unpleasant is said, they become angry. Never is any benefit derived from childish.
남시 칠레 한바 톱스. So now here it is saying up to now how I spent my time with the dear ones or enemy. Up to now, I can only get not a influence of the good quality, but bad qualities. Now there's a debate, okay? Because this is where Bodhisattva's life. In another hand, other hand, Bodhisattvas always admire sentient being, saying, "Oh, good qualities, good qualities." Now here saying, I need to do a meditation because there's so much bad things there. So do you feel a little bit a contradiction towards these two way of thinking? What do you say? Is the Shantideva is saying on the part of for the lower school, not the Bodhisattva school, or it is for the Bodhisattvas? If it is for the Bodhisattvas, and then in the Bodhisattva's way of saying, they are so kind, they are so good, so beneficial. The kindness of sentient beings and the kindness of my Guru and Buddha is equally seen. Does that way of thinking of Bodhisattva, while having this and focusing on negative sides of sentient being, doesn't it kind of a harm, bring some kind of harm towards this faith? What do you say? What do you say? No? No? Okay.
Not saying that the sentient being is bad, but the sentient being has bad qualities and we have to protect
from the sentient
get bad qualities so that we can benefit these sentient beings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much about the sentient being being bad, but the qualities we have to temporarily protect them.
Still, we have an image of the bad qualities coming from sentient being, which is harmful for you, right? So then, like one person, you think so adorable, so good, so great, and same time you're saying so bad. I don't want to stay with him anymore. These two minds cannot just come together.
So maybe it's like temporary switching.
And one thing, like in the the meditation, there is a saying, Bodhisattvas cannot, shouldn't meditate on the ugliness of the sentient beings. The ugliness means you know, right? This is how the body is made of. Because it brings more kind of a distance towards sentient being. That is what I heard. Maybe you already heard that before. So now the body is body, but now more is the mental. How? And then that's more kind of a aggressive thing. Because the problem is not you can say nobody there is no, I don't think there is a person in this world saying like, I hate this person's hand, not a person. Ultimately, when there's anger, you will say, I hate this person. And then ultimately, he's quite clever enough to say, well, his thinking made this situation. That's how we say the motivation. Right motivation, wrong motivation. That's what we say. It's not a physical thing. It's more like mentally. So how do you put this together?
Observing the afflictions or the negativities in sentient beings, use that generate compassion for those beings.
But right now, this is to bring a strength to go to the meditation. It is not talking directly about getting a bodhicitta. It's more like to make your mind strong.
Or in observing another person's afflictions, you can observe yourself and say, do I have those afflictions myself? And meditate on yourself to make sure that you eliminate those afflictions you see in others in yourself.
That could be. It's more like, I don't want to point my fingers towards them. I do have the same kind of thing. If the situation occurs, then I'm the same person as that person. That's okay. But still, each and every in this room has to make you strong enough to go to become isolated. So my question is, with these two ways of mind saying this, they are so kind, they're so great, this, and how does not this become kind of a contradiction?
My first stop is also the afflictions versus the deeper nature, but I could also see it as a child growing up into a Bodhisattva in pure form. Because a child has some misconception or thoughts, but there is no need to blame the child for it, but there is still love for growth.
That makes sense. Now I think it should be more like which thing are you going to support, or which things are you are not going to support. Once you see this negative emotion rising, and then how they are diluted, all this thing, seeing in them and in you, and then for you, all this situation is not to be whole in the whole world what's really happening. It is not going to happen to you at the same time, but you can see, you can multiply this way of thinking. All this situation, you look at it, they are doing this through this mind, and I'm going to end up like this, they are ending up like this. So then what really helps your mind to generate is more compassion. That's it. More compassion. So when you see this kind of suffering, and you can make a link to this, where all this suffering has started, and then in order to protect them, or protect you, you have all this kind of situation, that's the renunciation, to have this, and you are not going to support, you are not going to give 1 inch support to the, even you are, it's your guru giving you kind of a test, or maybe a wrong information, you are not going to support that, because clearly deep inside you know that if I support this, then I have to end up in a different situation. For a quite good understanding, let's keep it like this, like Adisha, the great Adisha, and the Lama Selingpa. Lama Seling has this pure lineage of a bodhicitta that Adisha really wanted. But on the level, on the path of the view, Lama Atisha is not going to surrender an inch, because even Lama Silingpa will ask to give up this view, that I'm not going to give until you give up on this view of the Prasangika school. Atisha is not going to give up on that, for 100% sure. No, this is just a, to understand the situation. Like this, going into meditation, each and every time when you hear, listen, you have to make sure that you are getting all these manifesting suffering that is really through the core of the ignorance mind, 100%. And then when you are not going to blame the sentient beings. That's the wrong thing. You are going to blame only one thing, that is the delusion. So while having this, you are not going to admire sentient being because of their delusion or deluded mind. The kindness, what we are thinking, that's true. That's nothing to do with the delusion. All the suffering has to do with the delusion. All this kindness, love, this is not directly kind of influenced by the ignorance mind. Yes, it has some connection, attachment, there, but then still it is not that 100% pure, but the purity is a little bit there. We cannot say, like, my father and mother are not kind because I'm born in this world because through the attachment of my father and mother. That's not going to give you any kind of good reason. Yes, of course, even we came in this world through the attachment of our parents, for sure. But their love, how much they care for us. Because it's true, because we end up something in a kind of difficult situation, the first thing who is going to cry and who is going to think of us from the depth of our heart is the close ones, close friends. That doesn't mean it's through necessarily directly from the attachment. But the attachment plays a role in here, but we don't need to finger directly towards there. So I don't think there is a contradiction, because way of focus is two different things. One is, it's never been we are going to sue, like they are harming, because, but in the code we sue. But in generally, Shantideva in the 6th chapter he mentioned, there's no way that we can bring any kind of anger towards any people in this world, and not just a human. But any situation, we cannot bring any kind of anger. So, because the one solid reason is because they are under the sway of negative emotion. That's the only answer. And for you, when you just wanted to have a kind of to apologize someone, saying like, oh, I don't have this intention to harm you, but I'm kind of under the influence of my anger, short-tempered. It came. That's how we kind of purify in front of other people. That's the same situation what the other people does have. So there's nothing to be like, but somehow they feel like each and every time more information, it becomes a kind of a more kind of a meal to the or the anger. But they are collecting this information through the ignorance mind for sure. So like this, we cannot bring any kind of a reason from the sentient being side that that sentient being is bad. But we can bring 100 reasons they are good. Does that make any sense? And now we cannot find a bad person. We have to say bad person because he has bad behavior, he harm, he steals, he kills. That's how we say bad, yes. But go deeply inside his way of thinking, he's kind of influenced by his habits. That's why. And now the good thing we appreciate. So that's why it's really funny. When we become a Buddha, sounds great. When we become Buddha, you will see all the sentient beings as so close. Even there is one particular enemy, he has harmed you the most. It's in front of you. And then he becomes your closest disciple. And then when you become Buddha, there will be a memory of the past, how he really, he was like a pain in your So still, Buddha has so much compassion towards this person. How does that work? Right? So that's powerful because Buddha will never kind of diffused from the mind which thinking sentient beings. They are under the influence of this negative emotion. Even though he harmed me, they don't know what they're doing. And the same thing. One time I saw this a movie now, which is I don't know the name. The movie on Jesus Christ. Jesus. Like it has morally its focus on how much pain that Jesus has to carry for the benefits of his children. And there in there it really shows when people that the army start torturing Jesus, and then he has to every time he's got beaten, tortured, the one word always comes from his mouth saying, "Oh, Father, they don't know what they are doing. Please forgive them." Then that's the only thing that he's saying. But the good understanding, this is quite a kind of a similar way. There's a difference for sure, but the same way. Why the anger is not coming? More compassion is coming. Because the same, they don't know what they're doing. So then this becomes a one kind of a base, foundation to grow the compassion towards your enemy. And then when you become Buddha, you will say for sure, in the past you harmed me like this and that, but there's no kind of a small gap in your heart for that person. That we can start it from now. You don't need to wait to become Buddha, and then on the top of the mountain you look, oh, now everything is fixed. No more problem between us. We don't need to say that. But it's true. Right now, we can do this. So now, this is why I'm saying this. There won't be any contradiction, because one is under the sway of the negative influence. All the suffering, everything is mistaken, kind of easily to forgive. Why not to? Why it's hard to not to forgive is you think 100% that's from you, and then it's very hard. Like then that's how we make lots of money from suing other people, isn't it? What about my pain? This also you need to think about. So then this is how we get, right? 수수지우 구워가 펜바마가 좋았지 다지 펜은 더버지 어디 톨라 타도 냠는데. Oh, the time is finished now. Okay. 톨라 타도 냠는데 말랑아지 떠나 tek 민년주나 콘트로지 남시 질레 펜바톱. So now in this section it shows the childish behavior of the sentient beings. It is still within me, and if same person stays together, there's no improvement. So now I wanted to become a stronger, and then I wanted to be stronger means now I wanted to protect what I'm kind of feeling close to the way of Arya's way of thinking. And now I can see this disadvantage of what childish behavior can be make me weaker. So now I wanted to become stronger. That means only to make the mind strong is the meditation, the habit. Because the meditation in a Tibetan word, it's called gom. Gom is not to like meditate something like this. It's more like turning into a habit. So once it is kind of a habit, it's very difficult to change, isn't it? So this is the connotation of the habit gom in a Tibetan word. Wish I have this kind of habit. That's better. Because I have a different habit. Now I want to change this habit. In order to adapt into the new habit, you need to feel close to the way of what other person is doing, you need to admire that. So, two ways. One way, seeing the qualities in other that you think I really need that. And one thing, before that, whatever you have that within you, it is really eating you inside, from inside. That's more powerful for us. So that's why saying, now I have this kind of a way of thinking, childish behavior, and I stay with another childish way of thinking, it will make me such a weak person. And then I wanted to get out from this. So to go where is not other than the Arya's way of thinking. So then it automatically, like a person who has an addiction towards a drug. First, you need to see. You cannot say like, oh, you cannot become a millionaire. You cannot become a successful person. That's not the thing that person is going to wanted to hear about. The person has to say, oh, this will make your life miserable. Or this, you will lose this. You will the health problem. And then what in the society, what will your name will be? All these things inside about you. And then automatically he wanted to get rid of this habit. And then after this, there's no point stopping only this old habit. There's nothing to gain something more beautiful. Then it will become like he will go back to his previous where he has started. So in order to not go back, he has to go and, oh, these things like you can do this and that, and to become a much stronger person, beneficial to others. So here, after now, what Shantideva is trying to bring all the complaints is to make us stronger. So that's what we need to keep in our mind. Okay, so we finished until chapter 13, right? Chapter 13. We finished 12? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So we do the dedication. Have you unmuted? Unmuted?
Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I have heard, day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. And the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praise is the best, by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Thank you.